Welcome back to the Preppy and Pout podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Jason, and this is the Preppy and Pout podcast. All right, so episode 2, the Preppy and Pout podcast. You know, we talked a little bit in the intro about the medical situation that we had going on that we wanted to dig a little bit more into. We didn't want to give too many details in the intro. So honestly, it's time to talk about it. It's time to bring some awareness, and it's time to get into some feelings and honestly be real with our listeners and be real with ourselves, right?
Agree.
So listen, we're just going to throw it out there. Endometriosis.
Endometriosis.
Yes, endometriosis.
Osis.
Yes.
I've heard it so many times.
Listen, and
become
that's,
muffled.
That's really what it's about, right? I mean, to talk about what it looks like in the beginning, what the signs look like, to help women that may not even know that this is down the road in their medical, right? To not even know that this is a road that they're going to be ending up on, and there's going to be a Y in that road at some point. But it's crazy because you don't know until you get there that, okay, I have to make a decision.
Right.
And there's a couple of things I wanted to highlight, right? First of all, you being my wife, your mother, my sister-in-law, close cousin. Like, we're talking probably 5 of the closest women
In our family.
Right. To you and I that have the same diagnosis.
It's crazy. It's very prevalent. And I think a lot of times as women, when you go to the doctors, right, you're just basically ingrained in you that you just tolerate pain. Women just naturally tolerate pain. I won't say better than men, but I feel like we are bred and we are molded to handle pain, right? When it comes to cycles and childbearing,
you got it
10 times over men.
You got the trophy. 100%.
A lot better. So when you first come into your cycle, right? It's natural. Like, oh, cramps are so natural. Heavy bleeding is so natural. Everything is just meant to be like, it's just you're a woman. Everything is supposed to hurt and be painful.
Right.
But as you get older and you have children and whatever your womanly journey brings you through, whether it's IVF, having children, having no children, having regular cycles, irregular cycles, it all is just bred to meant that no matter what you're going through, they're going to tell you it's normal and you're just a woman. So it's okay. It will get over in a week. It will be fine. So I think in starting this journey, right, it started from very young, just heavy cycles and cramping and the whole 9. And then after children, it was because you had C-sections and this is why you're having this, but it's fine. And then till I would say my first surgery around this was in 2021. So probably 2020 when London, our youngest, was 3 is when we kind of discovered like, okay, some things are not right here. Like it's not just a normal period pain.
Right. And you know, as a husband, right, trying to understand, and we can't feel what you have going on, but just to try to understand it. Obviously, we try to do as much research without just jumping into WebMD and getting stressed out, right? But honestly, the information that's out there, number one, it says it can start from anywhere from 15, right, all the way to 44.
Right.
And it's 10% of women that are affected by this condition, but
that are knownly affected.
But again, we just listed 5 of maybe the closest women to us, right? And so the first question I have for you is, you talked a little bit about heavy periods and things like that. Were there any early signs? Like, let's first talk about, when did you first know you had this condition?
So when I first found out I had this condition was, I would say just shy of being pregnant with my first daughter.
Okay.
Again, kind of
shy of being pregnant.
Yes, it was a little while before I got pregnant with her. Is when it got really bad as far as the cycles and the periods.
What age?
And what that looked like. I was 22,
okay.
21.
Okay. So
21, 22.
Okay.
Age frame. When it was actually diagnosed and put on paper, you have endometriosis. But I started my cycle in the 8th grade in middle school. And I remember block schedule. And we would be in a class for 2.5 hours during block schedule. Well, I would bleed through my pants. And I was so embarrassed. My math teacher happened to be on block schedule that week, and she would not let me go to the bathroom. She was very hard pressed. So I had to call my mom.
Wait, hold. She knew what was going on, you're telling me.
I just told her I had to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I didn't say right. But
we need to call Child
Protective
Services on this lady.
So I had to call my mom, obviously, to come pick me up, and she had to leave a note in the office saying that when she tells you guys that she has to go to the bathroom like this 1 week a month, I couldn't make it more than an hour. And in middle school, TMI was not a fan of using tampons, obviously, at that young of age, but that was the only way I can make it through 1 hour is a tampon pad at the same time.
Good night.
So just heavy periods from there.
But that's not normal, though.
That's not normal to 1 hour bleed through a tampon and a pad. Maybe one or the other, but I was doing both at the same time just to try and keep...
in the 8th grade.
In the 8th grade. So ever since I can remember having a cycle, it's been like this. And it was just it's sometimes girls go through this. It's irregular. She'll get regulated as she gets older, and she'll learn how to deal with the pain, and the bleeding will subside, and this is normal for years and years and years, till finally it got to a point where the stomach pain, again, able to tolerate a lot, but I could hardly get out of bed without holding my side and hunching over just to stand up, or to sit up straight was oh my gosh, it feels like this is sitting in my side. So I did a scan, and they said, okay, you have very big cyst on your ovaries.
And this was what age? This is still
21. This is when I discovered I had endo.
Okay, got you.
So in doing the cyst, and again, I was in the bathroom at work on Monday, and there were 2 girls at the sink. One girl was asking another girl if she had a pad because she's on her period, and she's like, oh my God, I have cysts on my ovaries. I'm like, this is freaking crazy. I'm just in the bathroom at work, and it's so common. So I think probably the majority of women listening to this, or that we know too, is oh yeah, I have cysts on my ovaries. It's just a normal thing. So they were saying my cysts were so enlarged. So they did a procedure to cut out the cyst, basically, and that's when they discovered, okay, you have endometriosis, which is the growth of the tissues and the cysts that kind of all collaborate together and create a mass, so to speak.
So check this out, and that's heavy, right? That's heavy. It, to be in your early 20s and deal with something so massive and major like that when it comes to medical. But let me ask you this. Did your mom have a history of it?
Yes, so mom has a history too. Had a hysterectomy as well due to some cervical issues and cancerous cells and what that looks like.
Okay. Because the information, just from basic research, right? Nothing crazy, not breaking open, medical journals or things like that, but it says that there's a higher chance that with hereditary that it affects you more than that 10% that it just happens to happen to.
Right.
And to the point that we made earlier, with it being my wife, my mom affected by the same thing. We have daughters. We got 3 daughters.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what makes this conversation so important.
I
Right?
think it's listening to your body, right? Knowing when to tell the doctors. I can't tell you how many doctors I left there and I was like, oh my, I felt like I did something wrong by even going to the doctors. Why are you here? You're on your cycle. Yes, it's going to hurt. Anything else? No? Okay, bye. Deal with it. Take a pill.
Well, not to digress, but we learned that having a certain gender doctor would show more or less compassion. And not saying it's all of them, but certain...
my experience.
Yes, some doctors, they just felt like, hey, this is normal. Why are you here? Well, where you'll get a male doctor, and he's like, because he doesn't have any cycles,
right?
He's more concerned, okay, if you're saying this isn't normal, then I'm more inclined to look into what's going on because I don't have these. if you're saying it's not normal, then I need to do some more,
Yeah. And I think too, it's being a young woman and a young girl. Like if I'm taking my daughters to their first gyno appointment or anything that has to deal with that type of privacy, I want her to have a woman because or I wanted the same. I was dead set on I will only have a woman OBGYN just because of the privacy feeling, like feeling comfortable or uncomfortable. So I was so dead set on that from the first time I went to the OB until having my kids and then having my first daughter. But due to that experience twice with a female doctor, it's just like maybe I do need to try a male doctor. Right. And it happened like it wasn't a planned thing, but she was not in the office when my appointment was. So they said, hey, we have this doctor available. He's the only one here today. Do you want to see him or do you want to push your appointment out to wait for her? I was like, no, I'll see him. And it was...
I didn't get good vibes from her anyway. So.
Yeah, I was like, yo, thanks. But it was a night and day experience.
Yeah,
like I never had a doctor like sit down like we are now, like tell me your history. What are you feeling? What are you... It's like, oh my God, like he's listening. Like he really
that
wants to know.
bedside manner was different.
Yeah, so I stuck with him for a while, delivered my second daughter with him, and he kind of helped this journey. Where before it was, yes, at an early age, I was diagnosed with endo, but it's like, oh, you'll deal with it. Like a lot of women have it. Like, yeah, you'll have painful periods and cramping, but it's manageable. You'll deal with it at a later age. If something comes about, then there's stuff that can be done.
Right. And it's a blessing to get to that point, right? To get to where you get the right doctor in the room.
Oh yeah.
That gives you that emotional shift and emotion and trust shift, right? But another question I had as well is we talked about heavy cycles early on from, 8th grade to not being diagnosed until 21. Is there a connection there, or you know what I mean? Is heavy cycles a sign? Like what's your experience in that? Is that something that if you're having this super heavy cycle, this may be what's down the road? We're not saying that we're doctors or diagnosing anybody, but from your experience.
Yeah, and even just looking on the web as the naked eye, that's a lot of symptoms that are told around endometriosis, whether it's severe stomach cramping, blood clotting, heavy periods, pain with urination. Like there's a lot of that around endometriosis. Again, not saying that that's what you have, right. But that is a lot of the symptoms that lead up to endometriosis.
And I think that's what has to be spread, right? That's especially when it comes to our daughters, right?
Yeah.
And I have a question surrounded specifically about our daughters, but I also wanted to shed light on and let the people know that, as a husband, I looked just to see because, you have medical things that go on, my Achilles, my appendix, things like that. And the first thing you do is you what? Why does this happen?
Yeah.
Right. Even with my Achilles, I know, I'm not a crazy athlete either. I was hooping. But at the end of the day, whenever you have some type of medical thing, you want to know why does it happen? With my appendix, it was like, hey, your appendix, you're going to surgery. It's like, well, hold on. Can we treat this thing first? It's like, do you want to live or you want to die? And it's like, well, that's aggressive. So when I looked up, like, what causes this, there's no cause. This diagnosis, this condition has been around since the 17th century.
There's no way to prevent it early
There's
on.
no cause. So we're not talking bad food. We're not talking lack of exercise. We're not like no cause has been documented to have this type of condition. Like
right. And like different type of illnesses, so to speak, or health conditions, there's levels, right? There's like a mild, a moderate, a severe. So as I've gotten older, it's just gotten more severe and more aggressive the way that it grows. So fast forward into meeting with the male doctor and him doing certain scans and CT scans, we discovered that it had grown to an immense amount where it was connecting my other organs at the same time. So that's when in 2021, he said, hey, I'm going to go in. We're going to cut this endo out. that's what he did, went and had full blown surgery, just like a C-section, right there, my C-section scar, cut all the endo out, had a little piece perforating my colon. So did a lot of scraping, right? Just basically taking an X-Acto knife and kind of cutting out the endo and the pieces of organs that it was attached to, and putting everything together with a mesh to keep everything intact and in order. So that was 2021. And then was fine for maybe 6-9 months, pushing a year, and everything surfaced what it felt like times 10 again. So doing another scan.
That's when you start having the pains on the ones. Yes,
severe pains again.
I remember that.
Went back, another sonogram and CT scan is how you really discover the amount of endo that you have aside from a sonogram. And that's when we discovered that it was back. With a vengeance, even worse. So I did a trial on a medication that was just released. Orilissa was the name of the medication, and it was basically tricking your hormones into not ovulating to try and keep the endo from continuing to grow. But with that trial medication, it decreases your bone density immensely. So after 2 years, they were like, hey, the bone density is dropping at a rapid pace. You can no longer take this.
As far as you can go with this medication.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So,
and even on the medication, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Even on the medication, there were symptoms, there were side effects.
Oh yeah. I was in premenopausal. I was hot as heck all the time.
I mean, listen, you're hot now. We're talking temperature hot though. Goodness. We're talking hot flashes.
Yes,
right?
Hot flashes, bad. Just the normal mood swings. I still had cramping, and I did stop bleeding for a couple months, but I came right back. They're like, oh, you're not gonna have any periods, and the symptoms won't be that bad, but periods came right back after a couple months.
And that's can't say that's everybody's experience.
No, everyone has their own medical journey.
Yeah, and it's just to shed some light, because they also gave options of putting you on birth control, and how that could slow the process. Right. And how did that discussion go?
Yeah, so in meeting with the doctor after that, what that looked like, it was kind of just buying time is basically how they explained it. Like, if you want to take birth control, we can buy you a little time. We have 4 kids. I am in no business of having any more kids.
We are in no business of having any
when
more
I had my last C-section, my doctor was like, hey, I believe you. You're not having any more kids. So we actually did tubal litigation and took my fallopian tubes out in hopes of kind of cutting down some of this ovulating rate to help with the endo. But she and he, both of the doctors I met with around birth control, were like, you can take it. It might buy you a little time. It's not going to get rid of the endo that you have.
Right.
But recently, why this has been such a topic is going back, had a biopsy done and another scan. She mentioned the endo has just completely overtaken the insides again. So what the option was and what we opted to do was a hysterectomy at this point, which a little young for that. I'm not 40 yet, but that is the best option moving forward.
Partial is what she starting out with.
We're going to start with the partial. So a hysterectomy is ovaries out, uterus out, and fallopian tubes out. I already have my fallopian tubes out, so we're going to aim to just remove the uterus. She's not going to know until she gets in there what that looks like, as far as if the ovaries have to go as well or not, just depending on the growth that is in there. So that's kind of what we were prefacing in the genesis, right, is finding out at this age of having a hysterectomy is like, okay, like, some things that you want to do. And it's like, why not? Like, why not talk about this? Like you said, so many women are dealing with this. And it's not a Debbie Downer type of thing, because it just has to happen.
It does.
There could be worse things. I'm blessed that it's an option and that it's not cancerous. So very blessed in that light. But I do think like it kind of gave me the push to say, like, I want to talk about this. I don't want to have a full-blown career talking about this, but I do want to shed a little light.
Awareness.
Because so many, like you said, out of the 7 women in our family that we've talked to, 5 of the 7 have it. and two
That's
may not
wild.
even know, but they're dealing with symptoms.
It's a lot higher than 10%.
I believe so.
That's a lot higher than
Yeah,
10%.
yeah, for sure.
So a couple things just to circle back to how we started the episode, right? You're at that fork. Mm-hmm. You've taken the road as far as you can take it from 21 to your beautiful current age of 22. You've taken that road as far as you can medically until now you actually have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. The last question I had for you is, what does your conversation look like for your daughters?
So I think listen to your body, right? Again, women are just so bred and ingrained to them that especially stomach pain is natural. Like if a woman has stomach pain, it is
Oh yeah.
okay, you're fine.
Let my stomach hurt. Let it hurt.
We'll
If I
save
don't,
that
if I
for
can't
another
let it out with a
podcast.
little bit of or something, I'm going to the hospital.
So I think for my daughters, just knowing how my journey was, and
Right.
again, there's no rhyme or reason why endo is discovered. They do say that it is seemingly that it is more hereditary, right?
Yes.
So being that my mom dealt with her fair share of stomach issues, it's very, I feel like it's on my shoulders for my kids for preventative care. One, not that you can prevent it, but catching it at an early age and having a doctor who's sitting down with you and listening to them is key.
Yes.
If my girls tell me that their cycle's extra heavy, just knowing what I went through, having that experience, paying that much more attention to them.
Paying attention.
Yeah, and growing up, it's not, parents' fault. You just, back then, doctors...
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, and doctors were so glamorized, right? It was what the doctor says is it. If that doctor
The
says...
apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah, that's it. There was no internet. You weren't searching web, and there was no other outlet aside of maybe a support group that you found with actual humans, not on the internet, or what the doctor said goes. But now in this day and age, we do have the internet. We have people who speak up, who are going through their experiences. So I think for my girls, it's just, we're going to listen to your body. We're going to find a doctor that helps. If the solution for round 1 does not work, we're going to go back for round 2 and figure out what is going on.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important, is that you taking your experience and not making it theirs, but having that experience you can see from a different view, right? Where they're in the midst of how their body's reacting, what they're feeling. You being outside looking in can be like, I know where you're coming from, right? Like, not saying our bodies are exactly the same, but I'm telling you, if this is what you're feeling, this is what we need to, because there's no preventative.
No, yeah, there's no preventative. I think it's just monitoring it as early as possible,
Right.
To see if there is something that can help prevent the growth,
Right.
And I think we're blessed to have had children, because
100%.
the first time I was diagnosed, the first thing the doctor said is like, hey, with this endo, the way it's growing, like your cervix is inverted due to it. Like, it's going to be very hard for you to bear children, like if at all. So blessed beyond measures that I even have my kids. So I think it's, had that have been caught at an early age, there may have been a medication I could have taken at that time to help lower the growth. So even the conversation of having kids wasn't a topic.
And it's obviously being connected with your daughter is going to be big, because you want them to be able to tell you and express to you what they're feeling, right? And not just, to your point, it's just a period, it's always heavy, it's always painful, and just deal with it. That they actually come to you and be like, hey, listen, mom, like,
Something's not right.
Something's not right. But, I do have to take a minute to give you your flowers, right? Because not only have you had to deal with this since the age of just diagnosis, 21, but amazing career, amazing mom, going to school, businesses. Like, that's the biggest piece too, is like, when you get to that fork in the road, your life has to stop for a minute because you have to take a minute
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And you've done so much and you're so strong-minded. You're so powerful. You've supported me so much through my career and things that I've done. Having a blended family, that's not easy, right? But what does it feel like to literally have to take time for just you?
It's so hard. Even when I had my surgery in 2021, I was down for 6 weeks. And thank God at the time I had an amazing boss who she was like,
I thought you were going to say husband.
yeah.
No, it's okay.
Well, we started with career.
No, it's okay.
So
You're good.
my boss,
Yeah.
I'm very career driven. Like my career is my passion and I love my job. I love what I do. So for me, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to tell my boss that I'm not going to be here for 6, maybe even 12 weeks? But
Right.
I think having a strong circle, right? I feel like my house is solid. I know my kids got me, my husband's got me. No matter what I'm going through, like my home is truly my safe haven. So I feel safe here. I know if I were to say tomorrow, I need to leave my job, you would be like, we'll figure it out.
Yes, I will eventually. Yes, we'll figure it out.
Just saying that's how much faith I have in my home
100%.
support. So
Yes.
starting obviously with the job is the first, very fearful thing. But again, I have an amazing support team at my job. My coworkers are amazing. My boss is amazing. She just literally said, do what you need to do. Like, we will function. If you can pick up the phone, join a meeting, do so. If can't, you can't.
Right.
Take care of yourself. So I think just having that peace of mind. My mom came over. My mom cooked for me. She helped me while you were at work, the days that you had to go. Again, we have 4 children. The world can't stop. They got places to be, school to go to. I think just having that support group, but just knowing that I'm about to go through that again in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To have the hysterectomy is a little unnerving because it's like just the thought of being down again for that long is like, I pray that this is the last time.
Yeah.
I have ish to do. I got people to help and children to take care of. But my support system is just like none other. Friends, family, work, amazing. So I feel comfort in that. It's just my mindset knowing that I gotta lay low.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Obviously, we worked very hard to get where we're at in our careers and in our lifestyle. So I get that 100%. But without health, you can't have wealth.
Yep.
But so what does the next few weeks look like? We talked about vlogs. Like what does all that look like right now?
We talked about it. So when we were at brunch, and I know we keep going back to that, but that's kind of where I had a plethora of just like anyone who knows me from my past, present, I am an introvert as they come. I'm not good at public speaking, but
You're amazing at public speaking, actually.
it has been my biggest fear in life. In my career, it's held me back. But it's so weird, like the true statement, like when you know, and when something's on your mind and pressing, and it was like, I just want to talk about this. Like I've watched plenty of TikToks and podcasts and Instagram pages. Like there are so many women. I mean, there's an Endo page that has like 1.2 million followers. Like It's insane the amount of people. And it's just that nudge to just talk about it and just talk in general. Like
That's it.
And if anything, at least if one person can hear this and it makes them say like, okay, I'm not just overreacting. Let me go to the doctor.
Amen.
I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Amen. Yeah. And I think that's the exciting part is being able to reach people who may be going through the same thing and they take that step to get themselves checked out and realize they're glad that they caught it early.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So vlogs, we're going to be putting stuff up, showing pre-surgery, post-surgery. I think one thing that people don't even realize is each time you go down for these type of surgeries, they're cutting your core. Like you literally have to build your core completely
7 layers
back. So special, we're going to be finding the special workouts you need to do. Like we're going to be on the journey.
Yeah.
We're going to be on the journey
It's
together.
a journey.
We got you.
Yeah.
We got you. The Preppy and Pout crew got you.
Yes. My people have me. I feel very confident in that, at least. We have that, and we're just going to go along the journey. Again, this is not going to be what the entire podcast is about, but it's life right now. This is what we're dealing with. We're going to talk about it. We're going to yap about it. We're going to pout about it. There's some preppy side to this, right? I mean, I might come out. I'll tell her clean out those little fat cells. Might come out with a little flatter tummy.
Just careful. Just relax.
But we're here. this is what we're going through. We're, again, not every episode, but we're going to vlog some of what this looks like, just so
Yes.
it brings awareness to what it looks like.